So naturally, with history, there's a lot of history in the late 1800s in East Boise. And since my videos aren't 25 minutes long, I couldn't choose everything. So find out exactly what I chose to keep in this video, exactly what's the most important history in the late 1800s in East Boise. Alright, picture this. Approximately between Jefferson and Warm Springs is the East End. And it's been around for a very long time, as long as Boise, since the late 1800s. And it all started really, as most cities do, with a lot of subdivision. So back then, Jefferson Street, people aren't reinventing the wheel. So you got streets named after presidents running one way, and then streets named after trees running the other way. It's really important when folks first settled in what's now the East End, is they usually bought 2 lots. And those lots were usually set back so the home had a really gracious front yard. So a lot of the homes in Warm Springs, you really do have really gracious front yard. You might have a larger driveway. Most of the homes are made with local materials like quarried sandstone from Table Rock, not just from Table Rock, but could be from Table Rock. Brick, and this thing called a miracle brick, which looks like brick, but it's actually concrete. Pretty cool. So you have these homes that are 2 lots in one, are set back from the street. And then you have these other homes like regular single family homes, some duplexes, some multifamily homes as well mixed in. When you think of architecture around here in the East End, you usually think of craftsman bungalow because that makes up almost a third of the type of architecture. But they're not just like clumped up in one area. Those specific homes are spread out among the East End. And you have a full 2/3 more to go, which includes a lot of other architecture from Queen Anne to American four squares, giving the area some real hearty character. East Boise's history is really intertwined with the rest of Boise's history, a lot because Fort Boise and the military reserve are part of East Boise, and those are integral parts of what made Boise, Boise back when it was founded. Back when the East End wasn't even the East End, it started with the fort and just a few scattered homes. People were drawn to the area because it was above the river, it was close to the river because Boise was a farming town. People came to farm because the river brought fertile soil. And folks like George Whitfield Russell set up shop as early as 1869 to be able to farm. Water for these American settlers that first set up in Boise was primary. It was the first most important thing. And they really got it from an irrigation ditch that used to run along Bacon Drive. Also, the Boise Canal was set up in 1869 as well and has doubled in length, and the laterals have doubled since its inception in 1869. All that to say that water was a lifeline for all these farmers in the area that set up shop. So as time went on, the East End became a bigger and bigger hub for activity. There's this guy named Jesus Urquhart who set up his whole packing company shop in the East End, complete with cabins for his employees. And by the end of the 1800s, development in the East End had spread pretty darn far, from Front Street all the way to First Street. Now the 1890s was really what set the East Boise apart from Boise, with the discovery of geothermal resources. C.W. Moore and some other local big shots drilled 2 different wells to find geothermal water. One well found water at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. The other well found water at over 150 degrees Fahrenheit. C.W. Moore eventually built a mansion and used that geothermal water to heat his mansion. And let's not forget about the Natatorium that they built in 1892, the indoor swimming pool that was completely heated by geothermal energy. I mean, this thing was crazy. It was a big dome with multiple levels with Turkish baths, billiards, and even a bar. So if you wanted to do something fun in the East End in the 1890s, the thing to do was to ride the trolley to the East End. Go to the Nat, as they call it, not the Natatorium. You don't want to be, you don't want to be hip. So you say the Nat, you don't say the Natatorium. Go to the Nat and take a dip in the pool, the Turkish bath, and then go back home. If you haven't heard of the Natatorium before, it was because it was blown down in 1934 because a beam started to rot and then it broke after a windstorm. Because geothermal power was the most important thing that happened in the 1890s, that's up to the 1900s, and that is the early history of East Boise. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, or better yet, go watch a video on Boise or the North End. That'll really be great. And as always, I will see y'all tomorrow.